Hi, I'm Father Joseph Mary, and welcome back to A Simple Word, where we reflect on the gospel for the coming Sunday. This Sunday we begin Holy Week with the celebration of Palm Sunday. And there's an interesting phenomena which I see repeated every Palm Sunday. Sometime after the beginning of the Mass, perhaps during the long Passion narrative, a number of people manage an engineering feat. Somehow they've folded and twisted and stretched this long, tough palm branch into a perfect little cross. People bring them home and they hang them on their walls. It's a nice little custom, but sometimes I think we miss the deeper irony. In a single Mass, we've gone from waving these palms in praise of God to folding them into little crosses and demanding his execution. Hosanna, Hosanna. Crucify him, crucify him. What happened in the short time we moved from there to here? What happened in those few days between Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem and his terrible death on the cross? Why did those lips shouting words of praise turn so suddenly to cries of condemnation? It was all about expectations. The scribes and the Pharisees, they had their expectations. The crowd had their expectations. The disciples and apostles, they had their expectations. Judas had his expectations. And we have our expectations too. We're in Jerusalem. The great Passover celebration, it's only a few days away, and pilgrims from every nearby town and village are pouring into the city. During Passover, the population of Jerusalem swelled to 6 times its normal number. And it was the custom of the people to wave palm branches in the air and lay them down at the feet of the pilgrims as they entered Jerusalem through the Golden Gate. Because it was believed that the Messiah, when he came, he would enter through this very gate. And so the people shouted, Hosanna, Hosanna. This is a Hebrew chant of praise, but its literal meaning is save us. This same drama unfolded year after year as the Jews eagerly awaited the Messiah who would come and deliver them from the Roman oppression. But this year was different. This year their expectations were higher than ever because there was a buzz of excitement in the air, and one name was on everyone's lips: Jesus of Nazareth. His reputation had spread everywhere in the surrounding regions. It was said he could perform incredible acts of power, healing the sick, multiplying bread, walking on water, calming storms, and driving out demons. Some said he even forgave sins. But one recent event in particular had everyone talking. On the ridge overlooking Jerusalem, not 2 miles away from the city gates, in the town of Bethany, Lazarus had died. He'd been in the tomb for 4 days. And this Jesus came and raised him from the dead. Raised him from the dead. Could he really be the Messiah of God? The one of whom all the prophets spoke. And now he was coming. He was coming toward the city, and a huge crowd of villagers from Bethany, they surrounded him as he approached the golden gates, throwing their cloaks down before him in homage. And this mass of pilgrims thronged out to meet him, wild with excitement, waving their palms and throwing them down on the road before him. But Jesus wasn't walking like a common pilgrim. He was riding on a donkey. No one could ride an animal inside the gates of the holy city. It was strictly forbidden. No one but the king. And here he came, riding on the donkey. And everyone remembered the words of the prophet Zechariah. Shout for joy, O daughter Jerusalem. Behold, your king is coming to you, humble and riding on a donkey. The excitement of the people reached a fever pitch. Everyone was crying, Hosanna, Hosanna. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is the kingdom of our father David that is to come. It was a scene of amazing excitement. And they actually dared to believe the Messiah had come. Now let's fast forward just a few days to the gospel we just heard. Once again, the crowd is in a frenzy, not with excitement, but with rage. Jesus stands before the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate, bound, bloody, and beaten. He looks more like a criminal now than a king, weak and defeated. He won't even speak to defend himself. This was their Messiah? This was their king? What had they been thinking? How had they been deceived? This was the man in whom they placed their hope? This was the miracle worker? Where was his power? Why didn't he do something? The Messiah was supposed to crush the Romans, not become their prisoner. So great was their fury that they demanded a murderer be set free rather than this imposter Messiah. Pilate asked them, "What evil has this man done? Shall I release to you Barabbas instead?" There's something subtle happening here. The Hebrew name Barabbas literally means son of the Father. They're crying out for the release of the guilty Barabbas, the son of the Father, and demanding the death of the innocent Jesus, the true son of the Father. They insisted one of their own people be crucified. Jesus had failed all of their expectations. The Jews were expecting a certain type of Messiah, a powerful warrior, a conquering king, a military leader. They had clear expectations about what he would be like and what he would do. And they weren't wrong. Indeed, Jesus accomplished all those things that they'd been waiting for, but in a way that surpassed their wildest expectations. What God had in mind was so far beyond anything they dared to hope for or imagine. They couldn't even see it. They were thinking too small. His own apostles, who had lived with him every day for 3 years, they didn't understand. They tried to stop him from going to Jerusalem. But Jesus, he wasn't asking them to understand. He was asking them to trust. He was asking them to have faith. As he said at the Last Supper, what I'm doing, you do not understand now, but you will understand later. We also have our expectations of God, of what he should be like and what he should do in our lives. And very often when God doesn't meet our expectations, we get angry. We grow bitter. We lose our faith. We ask, why is God allowing this to happen? Why is God allowing this cross or this suffering? Why is God allowing my children to leave the faith? Why have I lost my job in this poor economy? Why doesn't God heal my sick wife? Why doesn't God answer me? We want to cry out with Jesus from the cross. My God, why have you abandoned me? Today's gospel reminds us, no matter what happens, no matter how dark your night seems or how heavy your cross, no matter how painful the spears that pierce and wound your hearts, God never abandons you. He never abandoned his son or his people. In fact, in the midst of all those failed expectations and suffering and blood and tears and the treachery of the cross, he was doing his greatest work, our salvation. Fear is useless. All that is needed is faith. I'm Father Joseph Mary, and thanks for listening to A Simple Word. If you found this reflection helpful, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.